This is Mark Graby. I thought I would create a simple tutorial explaining how I screencast from my iPad. I think many of us find occasion to create instructional materials for students or colleagues, and there are times in which what we want to do is explain an iPad process or application. It's a fairly simple procedure. I do it using very inexpensive software, and I will explain how it's done and what software you'll need. I'll tell you that this process for me has changed. I used to do it completely on the iPad, and I probably would prefer that method. But as the various additions, revisions to the operating system for the iPad have emerged, things that I was able to do in the past are no longer possible. So this is the present method that I use. Thought it might be helpful to explain what my work environment looks like. And so here you see it. So you have an iPad, a desktop computer, and a microphone. Two things that may not be visible but are important. First of all, there is no physical connection between the iPad and the desktop machine. This connection is made by way of Wi-Fi, so the video content is mirrored to the desktop machine. Secondly, the microphone is not connected to the iPad. It's actually connected to the desktop machine. So the process works like this. The desktop machine is receiving the video from the iPad, and it's receiving the narration from the microphone, and a screen capture program is then used to integrate the two and ultimately create the video. The technique demonstrated here makes use of the iPad capability in iOS 7 called Airplay. In order to turn Airplay on and to make certain kinds of connections, you need to pull up what's called the control center. This area toward the bottom of the screen is the control center, and so you would just drag it up from the base of the iPad. And you should see Airplay in the area surrounded by this red line. Obviously you don't. The reason Airplay is not visible is because I have nothing turned on that Airplay could connect to. And so to do that, I need to activate something on my desktop computer. This demonstration uses software called Reflector. And you can learn more about Reflector from a link I provide to that company on the website within which you found this video embedded. Once there is some software or a device available to connect to Airplay, the Airplay icon will appear within the iPad control center, and you see that here. When Airplay becomes available, you need to set a couple characteristics. So what I want to do, first of all, is to send contact to my desktop machine. Here it's labeled, it's detected and labeled as Mark's iMac, so I would select that. And once that's done, I need to establish the nature of the relationship between the iPad and the desktop machine. And what I want to do is mirror. What that means is I will see something on my iPad, I will see exactly the same thing on the desktop. Once the connection is established, all at once Reflector will bring up a window that looks very much like your entire iPad. And so I've actually just kind of selected this out of the entire display that would appear on the desktop machine, and you see something here that looks very much like a picture of my iPad. Now here it gets a little bit complex. Within Reflector, I in fact could save the video that's being sent from the iPad. The problem with that would be, and it's true of several different ways of doing this, several different applications, is that there would be no connected audio in what I recorded. And in most cases, if I'm doing a tutorial, I'm explaining something, and so just the visual component would not be sufficient. You can find quite a few YouTube videos at this time that talk about the process I'm describing here. What makes my way of doing this a little bit unique in terms of what I've already observed is the software I use to collect the video, capture the video from the desktop machine and integrate it with sound. What I use is Quicktime. I would argue the advantage of this relative to a lot of other methods of doing this is Quicktime comes free with the operating system for Apple computers. And we look for efficient and cost-effective ways to do things in education, and just seems to me that this is a practical way to allow teachers and students to do the kind of thing in which they're creating tutorials from the iPad. So once you have Quicktime launched, it should be available on your Macintosh. You're going to use something called New Screen Recording, so you would select that. When I select Screen Recording, Quicktime brings up this set of controls. Obviously you can see the record button there, but first what I want to mention is the controls that are available through the, I guess, downward facing triangle there. This will bring up options for the sound input. And it's very important here to set this appropriately, because what we want to do is to combine the video stream with an external sound source. We don't want the information necessarily from the computer. We want the information that's coming in from the microphone, and as you can see here, I've selected my microphone. Now when you click on the record button, you get a message that says, do you want to basically record the full screen, or do you want to record just part of the screen? And this is very helpful, because obviously all we want to record from the screen is the image or part of the image that represents the iPad. And so to do that, as it says, you just drag the area of the screen that you want to record. You can look, if you look closely at this image, you see that I've drug this rectangle around the part of the iPad display that I want Quicktime to capture. Now you're pretty much ready to go. In the middle of the area you selected, you should see a Start Recording button. And as soon as you're ready to begin, you just click on Start Recording, and your desktop machine will begin to collect the information sent from the iPad, and also the information coming in from your microphone. You're also going to want to know how to stop once you have completed what you're doing. And so if you look up toward the top of the window, you should see which you would normally recognize as the stop button. You see it here. It's the small button that I've cut out and just to show you so you know what it looks like. When you click that, you are done. At this point, your content is saved for QuickTime, and you can review it. It should bring up a video right away, and you can look at what you have generated. But pretty much what you probably want to do is to export this QuickTime file as a video, as a movie perhaps, that you want to use elsewhere. So under the file heading in QuickTime, you should look for export. And when you select export, you will see various formats, sizes, I guess, qualities that you can use in order to export your movie. And once you've done that, now you have a product that you should be able to use in a variety of ways. So that's basically the process. On the web page again, that within which I've embedded this video, I will provide some additional information, some links to any resources I've mentioned. Again, the collection here was selected because, to my knowledge, it's the most cost-effective way to accomplish the process that I've explained to you.